Good evening, friends, and welcome to Borders and Beyond. Today, on the auspicious day of Raksha Bandhan, we are going to be breaking down something very, very significant, and it is directly coming from the Air Force Chief. And he's talking about the remarkable success of Operation Sindoor. At this point of time, there was always a cloud, there was a fog of war, and the cloud that what actually happened. How many aircrafts were we able to hit? What were the enemy targets? And today, for the very, very first time, our air chief in the afternoon very specifically said that there were 5 enemy aircrafts and definitely one AWACS system that got hit. So, to discuss all of that, I have Air Marshal Ravi Kapoor, sir. Ravi, sir, welcome to Borders and Beyond, and happy Rakhi to you and your family, sir.
Thank you very much, Chitresh, and it is great to be on your show. And I'm happy to be here on Raksha Bandhan. Happy Raksha Bandhan to everybody.
Thank you very much, sir. Sir, I'd like to understand from you, how big is this news, sir? Particularly because a lot of people were talking about aapke Rafale kitne gire. How big is this news, sir?
If you go back from where Operation Sindoor was paused till now, progressively information has built up. And initially DGO said that we have likely taken down some of their aircraft. Then CDS said yes, we did something. And now Chief has come out very clearly. The fact of the matter is that it takes time, and Air Force has been very categorical to say that we would like to put a number only when we have very clear intelligence and that we are collecting technical intelligence about it. And so I think all those films and debriefs and digital prints that have been, milked out of all the systems that were involved have now given a very clear picture to the Indian Air Force for the Chief of Air Staff to go on record on national media to commit to certain numbers. And I think he has been a little conservative, to say the least. There could be a little more, but it will not be even one less. Why I am saying so is that, what he brought out during his talk was that Pakistan continued to try to hit Indian Air Force. The reason is that this was more of an air war. This was not a ground war. This was not a maritime or naval war. This was an air war. And we clearly know that Pakistan relies heavily on its air force for any kind of, repose they want to do. So the basic aim was the Pakistan Air Force was trying to first identify the strengths of the air defense and then probably take it down to then undertake certain standoff attacks. Now the basic thing was that, if I can hazard a guess, that which are these 5 aircraft that we are talking about. Mostly the F-16s don't carry any long-range air-to-ground weapons. Their air-to-ground weapons are JDAMs mostly, which do not have a range of more than about 25-30 odd kilometers. And the J-10Cs were used primarily in the offensive air defense role. So it leaves us with Mirages and the JF-17s, which can carry air-to-ground weapons, and which Chief clearly said that they were trying to come close to drop as close as they could to keep clear or safe from the S-400 envelope. But yet, if you see S-400 with its range of more than 300 kilometers, when they did try to come as close as they could, they got shot down. So, in my opinion, I think it is mostly the JF-17s and the Mirages, which were carrying H-4s or AKGs, long range or whatever range air-to-surface weapons that were shot down. And between the AEWC and the ELINT aircraft, it is hard to distinguish between the two. However, I think there is clarity in Air Force that which of these have been shot.
Interrupt you here for the audience which will not be able to understand what is an AWAC and how does it play an important role while it is not actually fighting. What does it do, sir? If you could just briefly explain it, sir.
So Pakistan has two of its type in its air force. One is the Saab 2000 REI, which it has imported from Sweden, and it has a radar. When it is airborne and it is flying, the radar can see about 350 odd kilometers. So it gives a very clear radar picture from high level to lower level. So it can pick up any aircraft which are either at lower level or at higher level while remaining airborne in the sky. Whereas a ground radar, because of the line of sight issues, cannot pick up targets or aircraft which are flying at the lower level. And so the AWACS provide a very clear air picture, and with the kind of networking that Pakistan has done, it can share the air picture with the fighter aircraft through their data links, which they call Link 17. The other is the KJ500, which is the AEWNC. The AWACS is Airborne Warning and Control System, and AEWNC is Airborne Early Warning and Control Aircraft. So that is the basic difference. Both do the virtually the same work, but AWACS has a much bigger role because it does simultaneously ELINT, comment, and basically SIGINT functions also. And it also does a lot of other functions which AEWC to a lesser extent does. AWACS has a 360-degree radar coverage, whereas AEWC, because it has got a linear bar radar, AESA, that is airborne active electronic scan array. So it has a certain blind zone of about 40 degrees each, and so it does not see 360 degrees. So it has to fly a linear pattern, whereas AWACS, even while it is turning, it can continue to track targets. So that is the basic difference between it. KJ500 is linked to all the aircraft which are of Chinese origin because it's a Chinese aircraft. And so it provides a much better network to Pakistan Air Force when it is coordinating with the Chinese aircraft. So that is a basic difference. That is why AEWC is very important. And what is important to note is that, when we did Balakot, we were, picking up their AEWCs flying at about 100 and 150 kilometers from the border. This time, they were flying almost 300 kilometers from the border because of S-400. S-400 range is more than 300 kilometers. And so that's why when Chief said that the longest recorded kill ever from surface to air weapon has been done in this Operation Sindoor, from S-400 to either it was a ELINT aircraft or a AEWNC. And I hope it was a AEWNC because that's a bigger force multiplier than an ELINT aircraft.
So say 300 kilometers, how much time would it have taken to cover that distance? And are we looking at supersonic speeds or subsonic speeds?
Yeah. It is supersonic speed. It is more than almost Mach 5 when the S-400 goes, because if it has to be boosted also. And so it will take a few minutes, but it is not that it is going to cover 300 kilometers in 10 to 15 or 20 minutes. It will be in few minutes. And so the warning that the aircraft would get of a kill would be very, very little.
So
plus it cannot maneuver. The basic thing is, once the missile is opened its seeker and it is homing on, the aircraft is a slow moving aircraft. It cannot maneuver like a fighter, and so it cannot escape.
So as they show in Bollywood and Hollywood movies, that the aircraft comes to know that the missile has been locked onto it, and then there are some countermeasures which are used. So was Pakistan not able to use countermeasures, or did they try but nothing could have happened?
Yeah, obviously. See, the systems have what we call countermeasures and then what we call countermeasures. So the S-400 system is a highly evolved electronic warfare with electronic warfare capability. That means if any, and what is the kind of countermeasures that a aircraft like a AWC can do. It can have some chaff which will be, released by the aircraft. But when the targeting and tracking and is being done from the ground station, it can go through that also. So the system has got measures to identify between chaff and actual aircraft, and then home on to the actual aircraft. The second part is that when a slow-moving aircraft is flying, the dispersion of chaff will be very little, because the chaff will also be in the same area as the aircraft. It will not be too far away. Whereas in a fighter, when it is flying at a high speed, when the chaff dispenses, the chaff and the aircraft will be a little farther apart.
And so what is so for Pakistan, what is a bigger problem? Their fighter aircrafts getting hit or the AWACS? What's a bigger price?
AWACS getting hit is a bigger price than the fighters get, because AWACS is AWC is a force multiplier. It is controlling 50 and 100 of the aircraft. It is not controlling just one aircraft. Whereas if we take it down, the entire capability to see from the air to the ground and network from ground to the air is gone. So what a leader sees in the command and control center, if he's relying only on the ground-based radars, he has a very limited picture, air picture. But when he combines it with the AEWNC, he gets a complete, three-dimensional picture, which is much more detailed and much more refined, and has much more details. And so a loss of a AEWNC will hurt Pakistan way more. And so when we talk about something which was hit at Bolari, the AWC which was in the hangar at Bolari. So now if we see two AWC have gone. One has been shot down by the S-400 and the other had got damaged badly by the air-to-ground attack on Bolari by the Su-30s carrying the BrahMos. And so these two aircraft, if they have 11 aircraft, they have, I think, 10 to 11 aircraft. If two aircraft are gone, it's a much bigger, damage to Pakistan Air Force. Losing Mirage 3-5, which are legacy aircraft, is not going to hurt in any case. JF-17 also is a kind of a fourth generation aircraft. But losing AEWC is going to hurt them very, very badly. One cannot, replace these things. Because China can give them an aircraft at concessional rates, but Sweden will not give it. And now as you keep going into, Western side to get these capabilities, it is going to cost you way more than what it had costed you.
And sir, the F-16 that Pakistan uses quite extensively, and quite frankly, they are the Maruti 800s, which means across the world, almost there are a lot of people that have bought it. Do you think Pakistan losing F-16 could be one of the reasons why Trump has got really angry on India? Just trying to understand from the military perspective.
I don't think Trump has got angry on India because Pakistan has lost some F-16s which are parked, which are actually not serviceable, which would have become serviceable in any case after some time, or could have been like what we in Air Force call them Christmas trees. I don't think Trump would get annoyed, because the fact is they would have really felt bad if we had shot down F-16s. If we had shot down F-16s by S-400 or by a Rafale or by a Mirage also, whichever aircraft, air-to-air kill or surface-to-air kill would have been very embarrassing for USA. Now, if you just relate it to Ukraine war, Ukraine has lost, I think, 2 or 3 F-16s, and they have lost it to surface-to-air weapons. And so, I do not think that Trump is really angry on that. I think he is more angry that India is not accepting or acknowledging the fact that he did some mediation. That is because he seems to be a little more on ego trip than on essence. So it doesn't matter. I don't think F-16 loss has been counted as a combat loss. So far as it is not a combat loss, I think it does not matter.
And sir, what are the key lessons from Operation Sindoor for IAF, particularly in future engagements? Are we going to see more beyond visual range from 5th gen to 6th gen, or do you think ever the historical wars with dogfights and any of those things, are they ever going to come back, or is it always going to be fighting from far off distances?
Today's war and future war will be more and more high-tech, more and more long-range, that means no contact. And the days of dogfight, in my opinion, are almost over. So it is, see, dogfight cannot be ruled out, but what is the kind of probability we are looking at for a dogfight? With the kind of, if we just consider the surface to air weapons and air to air weapons, if we combine both these into a three-dimensional, envelope, you will find that it is so lethal that nobody would like to come into that. Everybody would like to fight from outside the lethal ranges of the enemy weapon systems, and it is who sees first and who fires first. And it is not a question of who fires first; it is who has a longer stick. So that the days of why did we succeed in Op Sindoor? We succeeded in Op Sindoor because we did not allow Pakistan Air Force to be of any effectiveness. That is the bottom line. Why was Pakistan Air Force completely, ruled out of the game? It was ruled out of the game because, we did not even use MR-SAM and Akash system for a surface to air against a fighter or an aircraft. Most of the Akash were used against drones and air to ground weapons or missiles. So we never used Akash against an aircraft. So no aircraft ever came into the MR-SAM or Akash envelope. They were all taken up by the S-400. That means if Pakistan, let us say tomorrow, if Pakistan, what will we have learned is that we always must have weapons which can range the Pakistani air defense. We must have missiles which must outrange the Pakistani air-to-air defense. Unfortunately, if we just analyze the open media, what is going on, we took the PL-15 range as 145-150 kilometers, which is the advertised range. But we all know that the advertised ranges are always shorter than the actual ranges. We never thought China would give them the actual range PL-15. We always thought they would have given them the export version, which is a toned down version. But I think China gave them the export version. And that is what, when CDS said we made tactical mistake. What was the tactical mistake? The tactical mistake would have been that we considered a range which is less than the actual range. And so we need to have weapons which have longer range. And so I think dogfight, I do not think is likely, because what is going to happen is, when we talk about weight of attack, drones are not going to deliver that weight of attack. You need aeroplanes. So drones will do some warfare at a particular level and within a particular envelope. But aeroplanes will be required. Aeroplanes provide you the precision and long range which even surface-to-surface missiles will not provide. And that is why it is very, very important that the air power with respect to our adversary is always kept one notch higher than our adversary. That means our aeroplanes, today you can have a 4.5 generation aeroplanes. But the Air Force, which has a better network, which sees first, which can fire first and engage first, is the one which is going to win. Similarly, the weapons must be fired beyond the range of the enemy air defense systems, and those weapons must be able to penetrate the enemy air defenses. And that is where we have to go. And I think Air Force is going that way. We learned a lot of lessons from Balakot. And these are the few lessons. That means we had to enter into Pakistani airspace to drop the Spice 2000. But this time we didn't have to enter. We fired well inside our own territory because we had longer range weapons like Scalp or BrahMos or Crystal Maze 2 or Rampage. These are weapons which are really fast. They have very high penetration capability, and they have deep penetration warheads. See, it is a question of what is the target and what is the weapon. So when you match the weapon to the target, everything will work out. It is like Fardo could not have been taken by any weapon other than the MOP. So you need a weapon to a target and longer ranges. Today, US is investing into JASM and weapons like that, where they're talking about 250 miles, 300 miles. That means 500 kilometers. And our DRDO is also developing similar kind of weapons. The only thing we need to have is that those weapons must be really fast, and they should be able to penetrate the enemy air defenses.
Okay, sir. On that note, thank you so much, sir. This is a fantastic happy Rakhi given to all of us. We as Indians are always very proud of our Indian Armed Forces. But there's a lot of dust that has been settled by Air Chief, and it just feels us, it makes us feel proud that we were able to do that. In Balakot, we were not able to get that kind of imagery, and the opposition did what opposition's good at. But certainly, the timing of Operation Sindoor and the messaging from Air Chief has been extremely helpful. And thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much for helping us understand that. We would love to host you again, sir.
Thank you, Tithrish.
Thank you, sir.
It was a pleasure to be here. Thank you.